Councillor McFadden.
I so move that we adopt the agenda.
All in favor? It's carried. I should note that Councillor Wilson is stuck somewhere between Ottawa and Calgary tonight. His flight was bumped. I think he's somewhere watching the basketball game, but he will not be joining us tonight. Yeah. Motion to adopt adoption of the previous minutes. Councillor Reid. Okay, with sound effects, all in favor? Thank you. Moving right into delegations.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Kelly Kimmett is in attendance to request Council proclaim June 15th as Cochrane Quit Smoking Day. Council did previously adopt Policy 120401, which streamlined the proclamation process, providing the Mayor with the authority to proclaim those that clearly met the set criteria. It should be noted that the requested proclamation does not meet that policy, but it is Council's discretion to waive the policy requirements.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Kimmett.
Good evening. I'm Kelly Kimmett. I'm a pharmacy owner here in Cochrane and have been for the last 30 years. And I'm going to retire at the end of this month. And my final health project is hopefully getting everyone in Cochrane to quit smoking. I know it's a very lofty, almost impossible goal, but we're going to take a run at it. Over 45,000 Canadians die each year from the effects of smoking and smoking-related illnesses. Now that sounds astronomical, but it sounds even worse when you boil it down to that 35 Cochranites will die this year from smoking and smoking-related illnesses. So what I'm asking for is that Council proclaim Saturday, June 15th, Cochrane Stop Smoking Day. We have a big day planned with keynote speakers, a mass smoking cessation clinic at the Lions Event Center, free samples, and a contest where we're giving away a flight anywhere in North America to some lucky smoker. So with that, I'm hopeful that Council will proclaim that, and also that you would support the program by passing on information to town employees. I do have a couple of posters and some sheets where people can sign up for the program. Thank you.
Okay. Kelly, before you leave, congratulations on a great career in Cochrane, and all the best in your retirement.
Thank you.
I applaud you on your, I like your idea, final health project. Yeah. Councillor McFadden, you have a motion or a question?
I have both.
Okay.
So I would like to move that Council waive the policy and that we proclaim Saturday, June 15th as Stop Smoking Day in Cochrane. And I really believe there is a role for the municipality in this proclamation, in that much about what we do is keeping our residents healthy, from creating safe roads, safe streets, recreation to keep us all moving, social programs. A lot of what we do, while not being defined as a health responsibility, is what we do here as a community and looking after ourselves and our neighbors. So I'm glad to put this forward, and I ask Council to support the proclamation. And then I did have a question for you. Mm-hmm. So as an individual who doesn't smoke, how could, beyond sharing this with as much as I could, your program, how could I demonstrate personal support for your Stop Smoking Day?
Well, I think what you could do is stop doing something yourself that might be considered unhealthy, such as maybe taking a day off from drinking alcohol, not drinking a sugary beverage, maybe get off the couch, something like that. That would show support for others who are trying to quit smoking.
Excellent, thank you for that. And so with that in mind, regardless of how this goes, for June 15th, the banes of my healthy existence would be sugar, so I will refrain from sugar for a whole day in support of your healthy initiative and smokers that are trying to stop smoking.
Thank you.
Should we add that to the proclamation? Tara,
Tara's going to stop sugar for a day. It will be worthy.
and off the couch, I heard too. Councillor Flowers?
Thank you. I would definitely support this motion, and thank you, Kelly, for all that you've done over 30 years. And it's great to see that you still care so much about people's health after 30 years. And thank you for all that.
Thank you.
Councillor Federico?
Thanks, Kelly, for the info. I'm a huge fan of yours. I just want to know the difference between if we didn't proclaim it versus personally supporting it and sharing it on our social networks. What is the difference to you, having us proclaim it versus us sharing it out on our own?
I don't know that there's any difference. Just the more people that know about it, I think we've tried to promote it as best we can. So just the proclamation may give a little more kick to, we're going to do another press release tomorrow. I think it's in the Herald tomorrow. I was on radio last week. I would imagine there might be some television stations pick it up. So just giving more weight to, if you know, town and council is behind this project, obviously it means something. And promoting it through social networks just helps get the word out there.
Thank you.
Okay, no other questions, comments, concerns? All those in favor of proclaiming June 15th, Cochrane Quit Smoking Day is carried unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Murphy.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. Next delegation tonight is the Cochrane Area Event Society. They're here to tell Council all the great things they're going to be doing on Canada Day. So at this time, I'd like to call Marina to the stand.
It was right there.
It was right there.
But it's there. Good evening.
Hello, good evening, Mr. Mayor and councillors. We are very thrilled and excited to once again have the opportunity to come forward and present our planning and on all of the details involved in this year's Canada Day. So I'm just going to jump right into it just because there's a lot to discuss because we have a full day of activities. So, of course, our motto is to promote Cochrane's community spirit, which we try to do in every event that we bring forward for the town and for the residents. We have a board of volunteers and a board of hired people as, not a board, but hired people as well. So as I name them, I will ask them to rise so you guys can get familiar with the rest of our team as well. So I am acting chair. Our vice chair is vacant at the current moment. We have Lucille Johns-Rood, Erica Richards, who's here, and members at large. We have Roxanne McIntosh, Mark Lippins, Ron Knowles, Erica Lister, Uta Gilbert, Mike Buckingham, and Bella Follis. We also have Kaylee Leonzio, who is our main event planner, and Kathleen Dennis, who is assisting her in helping with the volunteers. And we still have Susan Flowers. I hope you know that, but you're still our advisor. So just as a little bit of a summary, this is our 37th event since 2010 and our 5th Canada Day. So it's a lot of events under our, like in the past and under our belt, but we're loving it and we're enjoying it. And we're happy that it's so well received within the town as well. Our theme this year is a cultural celebration. So we want to celebrate all of the different aspects that make Cochrane so great. So everything from languages to the different cultures that we have. Of course, it's not a full representation, but it's what we could bring forward this year. Of course, the backbone to this event is Cochrane, because without you guys, we wouldn't be able to put this wonderful event on, so our many thanks to you. We have, similar to last year, we have community partners, and these are companies or businesses that come forward and help us organize an entire section of Canada Day. So it's kind of an extension of our members or our committees, because they will bring a full complement to Canada Day. So everything from art to the beer gardens to the transportation, like the shuttles. We have financial and lots of financial and in-kind sponsorship. Most of these would be in-kind, but we do have a couple of financials in there. So, and those are still coming in, so we're quite happy to accept and have them part of our planning circle. Our main stage entertainment, these are some of the bands that, well, all of the bands that we've hired. We're completely full on our agenda. Our main act is Daring Greatly. They are quite popular and entertaining, and it will definitely get you up on your feet and dancing. J.R. Kakwitz is a Native American band that play like kind of a country type music. And then the rest you may or may not know, but they're fairly self-explanatory. The one band that I did want to bring note is Postscript. We have partnered with the Francophone Association from Calgary, and they have helped us to sponsor a French band. So they're coming to play half an hour of French music, which is something quite different for Cochrane. I think that the French-speaking community in Cochrane is increasing from year to year, and it's nice for us to offer a little bit of French services and the French entertainment in Cochrane as well as English. We also are taking advantage of the pergola stage to bring in Stoney Nakoda dancers there as well as Kids Magic Show. And this year, for the first time, we are renting a lower stage that will be positioned directly in front of the main stage. The lower stage is to bring in dancers. We have about 600 dancers in Cochrane that don't have a great opportunity to really perform in Cochrane and really showcase their kids and the talents. So we want to give them that opportunity. We want them to come in and dance. This is a dancing stage. It's going to be huge. They'll have the opportunity, and people from Cochrane can cheer and support these wonderful kids and their talents that they bring. This is I know there's lots of text on here, but this is the stage schedule. It has been finalized. So this is how the day will derail for the stage itself. We are running quite a tight deadline, or quite a tight timeline for the stage, so every 5 minutes will be accounted for. Activity-wise, of course, we've got lots planned for the kids. So bumper balls, we're bringing those back because they were a huge hit last year, and the year before. There's always a huge lineup for them. Arrow tag was also a huge hit. We're doing a human whack-a-mole, so that should be interesting. We've got insurance, we're good. And of course, bouncies for toddlers and for the teens or the older kids as well. We also have some of the favorites like Butterfields and the pony rides. We can't do an event without those. We're bringing in some soccer, dart, and lawn games, and a dunk tank, which we're really trying to get some prominent Cochrane people to participate, because whatever we raise for this dunk tank will go for our charity of choice, which we will discuss in a few moments. So we're taking names. That would be awesome. We also are planning a rugby game. So we're featuring the Grizzlies against the British Army, which should be quite interesting. It's going to be about an hour and a half game. So we're going to have a shift on the field after the soccer game. Then we're going to bring all of the games into the field. We're just switching out the times so it makes it work, or we're switching locations for the game. So there's going to be shuffling after the game, but that's okay. We want to make use and we want to introduce rugby and kind of bring a little bit of fun. This year, we're planning something a little bit different. Instead of doing a vendor market, we want to showcase Cochrane. We want to showcase what teams, clubs, organizations are out there and invite them to come free of charge and talk about what their association or the club does. So this is our list to date, and there's more coming. I think it's going to be fun, interactive. We've encouraged all of these clubs to make it dynamic, make it engaging. And they're all going to offer something and just bring their best people out and really engage with all of the people there. So it's going to be a real showcase of all of this, all of what Cochrane is about. And there's a lot of new people, so it gives them an opportunity to kind of browse around and see what's available in Cochrane. What can my kid join? What can I do? So it's something that we're hoping will continue year after year, and we'll get more and more people involved and have it a real focus on Cochrane. This is a bit of the layout, and of course, as I described, the items on the field will be moved out and repositioned after the game. So we have different starts and end times to accommodate that game coming in. They will be using the entire field, so we will need to clear the whole thing out for them. So we will have a busy area. There's lots of stuff going out and going up. So it's still a little bit loose right now, but it's pretty detailed. We've got all of our safety items in place. Fire services are coming with their command center. We've hired Erin's paramedical group to come in and do our first aid with an ambulance and 2 attendees at all time. Cochrane Search and Rescue will do our Lost Child Security Program. 10-8 Security will be there not only in the evenings but also during the day on Canada Day to provide extra support for security. We have assistance from Bylaw, RCMP, and we have a case-appointed, emergency-appointed contact as well as an emergency response plan. The infrastructures and amenities will be set in place too. We have a list of 12 food trucks, porta potties, hand washing stations, the potable water trailer, ATM machine, picnic tables, free shuttles, and barricades and signs to make sure everybody stays safe and hydrated and well fed. Volunteers, we require about 90 volunteers. We have about 45% of that filled out, so we're still hoping, well, we know that we're going to get them filled out. Most people don't volunteer or put their name up till the very last, so we're still quite hopeful, but we are still pushing and still require some for sure. So our charity of choice is going to be the Camp Jubilee Playground, which is the girls' club. What we're hoping on doing, it will be a free event to enter, but we will be accepting donations at the gate, and 100% of the donations will go right to the fund. The dunk tank will also be donating whatever they raise. I believe it's going to be $1 or $2 a throw. That money will go to the Camp Jubilee Playground as well. We have half of or donation of a percentage of the profits from Half Hitch from their sale that will go back to the playground as well. Half Hitch is donating their cans. We haven't quite confirmed who's going to be doing that yet. So I haven't announced it, but it's going to be coming out shortly. So the profits of the cans will go somewhere as well. And we are, like I mentioned, accepting the voluntary donations and the dunk tanks. So we will be making 2 presentations during Canada Day for 2 charities of choice, but that will not come out of the Cochrane budget. This will come out of the case own funds, our own funds. So that's what we have. We just wanted to acknowledge and thank the following people from the town for all of their help and support. It's been such a seamless planning effort. I mean, you guys should be proud. You have a great team, and they're so willing and helpful in every aspect, every question we have, and we're just so thankful to have them along our side to help us plan.
All right. Well, thank you for that, and thank you for all your hard work. It looks like a great lineup. Any questions or comments from council? Councillor Flowers?
Just want to say, wow, there's a variety of options there for people. It's going to be a great day. Unfortunately, I'm out of town, so I won't be able to do the pool thing.
The dunk
tank that, but I'm sure that there's others that will participate. Can you tell me where the shuttle goes from?
We have 4 locations. So we have St. Tim's School, St. Tim's Schools and the Bow Valley Baptist Church. That's one stop. Another one will be KFC and I'm trying to think what the other one is. Do you remember? KFC and... Yeah, there's 4 stops. 3 of those will stop at 2 locations, and one of them is a single location, which is Heritage Hills. And it's the same stops as last year. And the bus will stop right in front where the old Smitty's used to be, or the dealership is being built. And so we are encouraging shuttle for sure, because parking is very difficult. There's barely anything left. And the parking lot for Medford Park will be reserved for food trucks and dignitaries, so anybody who is coming in and out, and the committee members, because we have to go in and out to go get things and refills and for emergencies as well. And then we have all of the command centers and the ambulance and the first aid, and so there's not very much parking, unfortunately, but we will secure the same areas as last year.
Thank you for all your many hours that you put in on this.
You're welcome.
I'd like to make the motion to accept the presentation as information.
Okay, good. Any other comments? No? Okay, well, once again, thank you. It looks like a great weekend of, hopefully the weather is going to cooperate. Do you have kind of a contingency plan for the occasional windstorm we may get here, or
well, we
2 inches of rain?
We do have a very detailed emergency response plan. So Jay and I are going through it, and we will have every step in place. We have evacuation locations. We have different levels of emergencies as well. We'll be set up with all of the radars, so we can see if storms are upcoming and how close they are and how fast they're coming in. So everything will be monitored, and if we need to evacuate like we have before, we will, because safety is first, and we need to make sure that gets taken care of.
Yeah, I was thinking more along, I trust your plan. It's is there a tent, a covered area at all for people?
We do have some tents. It's difficult to set up a lot of tents, especially if you've got a storm coming in. So, we're hoping that people will take shelter in the hotels if it gets that bad. If not, typically people will bring umbrellas, and they will just ride the storm.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we're resilient folks
They
here
are,
in
yeah,
Cochrane,
absolutely.
Last question is fireworks. Where are the fireworks being?
So same location as last year will be the baseball diamonds.
Okay. Yeah.
And they will get off or start at 11 o'clock at the very latest. We will have our own designated hired personnel per se from Big Bang. So there's no more transport from area to area, because that was a delay last year. This year he's coming and staying on site.
Okay, good. Awesome. Okay, no other questions? We will vote on the motion, which is all in favor of accepting as information. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, good luck with the rest of your plans.
Thank you.
Welcome. I thought the CAO was the person they were looking for the dunk tank. Yeah. Yeah. I think if we get $1,000 donated, we'll get the CAO to sit in the dunk tank chair. Council gets to throw. All right, moving on.
All right, good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
And members of council. Tonight I'll be presenting Bylaw 2019 for first reading. Administration has received an application to redesignate lands located in the East End Community Association, East End Community from residential medium-density multi-unit dwelling district R2X to Central Business District CB at Plan 4810L, Block H, Lot 4, civically known as 316 First Street East. The map before you shows the location of the land use bylaw amendment for the proposed redesignation located in the East End community within the town's boundaries. The outlined parcel in yellow is the location of the proposed redesignation from R2X to the CB district. Map 5 of the land use bylaw illustrates the adjacent land uses in the area. In 2017, Council approved Bylaw 31-2017 to rezone the adjacent parcels to the west, lots 2 and 3, Block H, Plan 4810L from R2X to CB. Rezoning the parcel of land will allow for the developer and applicant to move forward with their intent to pursue a development for a one-stop health professional establishment, which would include services such as a medical walk-in clinic, pharmacy, dental clinic, diagnostic center, chiropractor clinic, etc. Administration is recommending that Council give first reading to Bylaw 2019 and set a public hearing date of Monday, June 24th at 6 p.m. The application has been circulated to internal departments and external agencies for comment. Administration's next steps will be to present the bylaw to CPC for comment on June 19th. All comments received will be presented at Council's public hearing prior to second and third reading. That concludes my presentation.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? No? Somebody want to give first reading? Councillor Federico?
I'll move that council approves first reading for Bylaw 2019 and establish a public hearing date for Monday, June 24th, 2019 at 6 p.m.
Okay, all those in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Weldon?
Good evening. Okay. Good evening, Mayor Janung, members of council. I'd like to present to you Bylaw 21, 2019 for your consideration for first reading tonight. It is a land use bylaw amendment dealing with a redesignation for 125 parcels in the community of Heartland. Now, this is a little bit of a unique situation. We are redesignating properties that have already been developed, and we're redesignating them to deal with a number of issues through the redesignation process. They deal with land use, subdivision, development, and compliance, which I'll get to here in a minute. It is an amendment to redesignate 125 properties from the RM district, which is residential high-density multi-unit dwelling district, to the R3 district, which is the residential multi-unit dwelling district. And specifically, you can make out just in this blue area, these are all the affected properties here. So this block, and with the exception of the two here, this block and all of the properties along here. This is a town-led project as it was a result of some errors that were made in the past. So I'll just give you a little bit of the history and the background. So the original area structure plan was adopted in 2007. Once the area structure plan is adopted, the land use for these lots was placed on the land and approved also shortly after in 2007. Right after that, that allowed for the subdivision to occur for these properties in 2009. This is where the first issue occurred, which I'll get to here in a second. After the subdivision was registered, 4 townhomes were built between 2009 and 2010. And this was under the initial developer and the landowner and by the original home builder. Unfortunately, what happened after the 4 homes were built between 2009 and 2010, the original land developer had passed away, and there was a lag in the development for a new developer to take over the project, and then a new home builder to take over the building of the homes as well. This did happen. It took about 3 years, but that did occur. And the construction of the townhomes did occur from 2013 to 2015. And also at that same time, there was a number of concrete pads and concrete garage foundations that were also created. Now, the issue here was that these structures, the townhomes as well as the concrete foundations, were developed with a building permit, but not with a development permit. And that is the issue that we're trying to address here. Also, from 2016 to 2017, a few detached garages were also built over that time on the foundations that were already put in place. Okay, so what are the issues? So I'm going to start by just a brief explanation of the normal process. So as I mentioned before, an area structure plan is adopted for an area within the town. It has a land use concept. Shortly thereafter, usually land use or zoning is applied to the land. Once zoning is applied to the land, that allows you to subdivide the parcels. And then after the parcels are subdivided or created, then you normally apply for a development permit. It goes through the development permit process in terms of verifying land use and making sure the development conforms to our development regulations. Once the development permit is approved, then it goes to the building permit stage. A building permit is then applied for. Once it's approved, then construction can happen. That's the normal process. So the issues that happened in this process started at the land use stage. So the RM land use, street-oriented townhomes, which is these structures, is firstly not a listed use in that particular district or that zone. Also, the subdivision regulations do not support the fee simple lots due to the minimum lot area requirement for RM. Secondly, the building permits were issued for the townhomes, but the development permits were not. So that process, that development permit step was skipped. However, the building permits were issued by the town. Building permits were also issued for the detached garages without development permits, and these were specifically for the 0 lot line detached garages or the garage foundations as well. In 2016, administration worked with the current home builder and did issue development permits for the garage foundations, and these were again for the 0 lot line at the property line. However, one of the conditions of the development permit was not met, and therefore those development permits became void. So, compliance certificates cannot be issued without approved development permits. And so ultimately, a compliance certificate is issued by the town when a landowner is selling their property, and it's proof that their property meets the requirements of the land use bylaw, is in compliance with the land use bylaw. This is requested usually by a financial institution So without having the proper land use in place or the development permits, it is difficult for the municipality, or us in this case, to issue the compliance certificates. So there is an issue with potentially people selling their homes for these properties. Administration is aware of this, and we are working towards rectifying the situation. And the first step starts with rectifying the land use, which is the proposed amendment. So the proposed amendment, again, is to redesignate these 125 properties from RM to R3. So what will this do? This will apply the correct zoning on the parcels where street-oriented townhomes are a listed use, and the minimum lot area and lot width requirements will match the parcels that have been subdivided. It will allow the development permits to be issued for the townhomes and for the detached garages. It will bring these existing developments into conformance with our land use bylaw, and ultimately it will allow the town to issue compliance certificates for the landowners that request them. We did send out 2 notification letters to the landowners, first in March 2019 explaining the situation, as well as in May 2019 explaining the process for the redesignation here first at first reading and then the public hearing. The bylaw was also circulated for comments as normally, and these comments will be presented to council at the public hearing. Now, we are aware that a number of these issues were due to some of the process gaps that administration had in place. We have put some solutions in place to catch these kinds of issues in the future. Firstly, our planning connection with our building codes section. A development permit check will always happen at the point of building permit application. Therefore, our building codes, our building inspectors will always check if there's a building or a development permit in check before processing a development permit. Through our compliance certificate review, we will always check that there is a development permit in place. And at the subdivision level, we will confirm not only the land use, but the minimum lot area and lot width requirements for every property. The recommendation tonight is that council give first reading to Bylaw 21/2019 and to set a public hearing for Bylaw 21/2019 for Monday, June 24th at 6 p.m. That concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Lots to digest there. Council, any questions of administration? Councillor Reid?
It's just interesting to me that this could get so far out of hand over such a long period of time, but I appreciate that there's some history to that. The new improved process, of that absolutely guarantee this could never happen again. Is that a fair assumption?
Through Mayor Janung to Councillor Reid, yes, we certainly hope so. If people are following the checks that we have in place, this shouldn't happen again, correct? Yeah.
And then if I could supplement a question, so I happen to be a joint owner of one of those houses, and so I don't know if I have a problem, and should I declare a conflict? No? Okay, so the question I had was, I received that letter. It is, I mean, even for someone who thinks he knows what's going on, it was difficult to follow. I'm not sure what the residents or what feedback you've received from others, but I don't know if there's some way of dumbing it down or making it Fisher-Price simple, but it's awkward to understand. I mean, your presentation was much clearer than the letter, and I recognize that you only have one page, but it was difficult to follow.
Okay. Thank you for the feedback, yeah.
Mr. Devana?
It's a bit of an awkward situation for Councillor Reid. I think he may be in a situation where he may want to excuse himself since he is a property owner, has an interest in the outcome. I certainly, not relate to that, but I certainly hope that, that we will correct this problem for all the property owners. But I think Mr. Reid should decide whether he thinks he's in conflict or not. And if you feel like you are, you probably should excuse yourself.
That's why I raised it.
Yeah, okay.
Should I step up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So please let the record show that Councillor Reid is excusing himself. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Reid. Got his 2 cents in before he left anyway, so. Councillor Padeco. Thank you, Mr. Devana.
I only have one quick question, and I know that you're not discussing comments here tonight, but have you had a number of comments come forward from the first mission that you sent out?
Yes, through Mayor Chenung to Councillor Fideco, yes, we did. We had a number of residents reach out to us via email as well as on the phone. We've received a number of different comments. We've worked with those residents as well as the real estate community because ultimately a lot of the issues that arise is through the compliance certificate process. And so we've been working with the landowners as well as the real estate community to try our best to address their issues. But we did receive a lot of comments, yes. Yeah.
Thank you. I look forward to hearing the discussion.
Lastly, is there any other areas in town that have a similar issue?
Mm-hmm.
And will we be going through the same process as we address those?
Yes, Mayor Chenung, we are going to be looking at going through every community within Cochrane and looking at where this may have happened. And if it has happened, now that we're aware that it has happened in the community of Heartland, we may be bringing forward future amendments. We're not aware of any at this time, but we will be doing that review community by community.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor of first reading and, oh no, sorry, I need a motion? Yeah. Councillor McFadden, okay, I skipped a step there. Yeah, we got it? No comment, all right. All those in favor of first reading? Carried, thank you. And the public hearing for June 24th? Okay. Thank you. All those in favor of that? Carried, thank you. June 24th will be a busy night.
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you. Grab Councillor Reid. Thank you, Mr. Weldon.
Thank you.
Welcome back, Councillor Reid. Business. Ms. Bell, RancheHouse Event Center, Community Events and Culture Manager.
Good evening, Mayor Chenung and Council. My name is, in fact, Christy Bell. Some of you already met me as Christy Schneider, but after my wedding here at the Ranch House last August, I do have a new name and the longest title on a business card I have ever had, manager of the Cochrane Ranch House Event Center, Community Events and Culture. So now I'd like to introduce you to my team. So the who. Our team has 3 streams: the Ranch House Event Center, Community Events, and Culture. The Ranch House team consists of our new Event Center Sales Associate, Katie Pachapsky, our Administrative Assistant, Sharon Johnson, 4 facility workers, James Toy, Jerry Griffiths, Simon Glasgow, and Citizen of the Year, Paul Singh, a new Canadian. In addition to our team is our facilities cleaner, Leslie Leclerc. The team is also supported by 1 casual facilities worker, Rob Lowe. Our community events administrator is Natalie Germain, and our arts and culture programmer is Yola Miran. Summer programs are supported by 2 seasonal summer staff, Ria Vermani and Paige Wolf. And so for the what is the Ranch House Event Center? The Ranch House Event Center is host to a vast array of meetings, events, trade shows, markets, theater shows, retreats, fundraisers, dinners, dances, town meetings, and events, memorials, and yes, of course, weddings. In 2018, we hosted over 380 events and 26 weddings, and we are working hard to increase these numbers every year. Our office team recruit, book, coordinate all the event details from booking to finances, and then our facilities teams make those plans happen. They build the rooms, set up AV, tend to last-minute changes, requests, and respond to concerns. After it's all done, they take it all apart, clean, repair, and reset for the next great event, meanwhile maintaining the basic necessities of the facility. In addition, we have our cleaner taking great care of the spaces and plants upstairs on the administration level of the building. Our facilities team also stock staff rooms with coffee tea supplies, handle paper requests, shovel snow during the reoccurring winters, and respond to requests for minor repairs, light changes, picture hanging, and whatnot throughout the RancheHouse service request email system. So my vision for the RancheHouse Event Center is a unique, vibrant, inclusive, flexible, and functional venue for all, from community groups to corporate clients to individuals. The what for community events? We process all permit applications submitted for public, both community and nonprofit events held outdoors on town lands. In addition, we process road closure applications and fire pit bookings. Permitted spaces include parks, fire pits, streets, pathways, fields, and other open spaces. There is not a permit process in place for public events held on private lands, for example, the ag grounds, the rodeo, the indoor events, and festivals held on private lands. We provide support to event organizers by responding to questions about the event guidelines and organizing meetings when needed with town departments to review the application and provide comment. These guidelines govern the use of public parks, roads, and venues and provide the rules community groups and nonprofits to follow. Where possible, we also offer insight and advice for event organizers in the hopes of helping them host spectacular, safe, and successful events. In 2018, we processed approximately 140 permits, not including over 100 fire pit bookings and road closures for things like block parties. So my vision for the community events is to provide support and an increased presence for town-supported community events, liaise with community groups and organizers to determine their needs, and how we can help meet those needs. And culture. We have one full-time programmer, several contractors, and 2 summer staffs that provide art and culture programs throughout the year. So things like Artists for Steps, Friday Art Exploration, Spanish for Children, and our summer camps. We've got 7 weeks of programming serving over 100 youth. This year's summer drama camps will have a Bollywood theme, and our chef and music camps are waitlisted and full to capacity. We also host the Art Walk once a month. We coordinate a new theme for each event with the community and various arts and culture stakeholders. We also coordinate the art gallery on the 2nd floor here at the RancheHouse. We do community liaison work where we work with various community arts groups to provide resource connections, space at the clubhouse for meetings, and offer support for Culture Days, Indigenous Week, Canada Day, the Pickin' Party. The vision for culture is to continue to offer innovative and exciting arts and culture programs throughout the year, develop and promote unique and engaging arts and culture programming to create a vibrant and attractive community, to liaise with community groups to understand their needs, provide support and create new opportunities for more innovative arts and culture programming. So now I just want to quickly talk about what's changing. So as you can see, using weddings as an example, bookings at the RancheHouse dropped off in 2016. This drop reflects the decrease in the economy and a combination of increasing rates and policy changes. But the good news is that the bookings are trending in the right direction again. So what is changing? So a retirement early this year facilitated a reorganization, and the creation of an event sales associate was hired on mid-April. Together, we're working to develop and launch a strong, engaging marketing and sales strategy plan, and we've also worked on developing new marketing materials. We're implementing social media plans and tracking tools, and we just finished up a 3D photo shoot of the RancheHouse and Clubhouse to add to our promotional tools. So for a little quick sneak peek of that. Let's see if it works. This hasn't been launched yet on our website, but all of the rooms at the ranch have been shot, as well as the clubhouse. So we'll be adding this to our website for clients to get a better look at the facilities and what we offer.
So essentially that allows the person to move around in 3D?
Yeah. It doesn't work super smooth here. Again, not fully finished, but we're pretty close. And you can actually move from room to room as well. So you can go out the door to the courtyard and see the wedding set up, that kind of thing. So, and we've done it for the clubhouse as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. We are reviewing and researching investing in AV upgrades for all our meeting rooms and for the theater. We've made policy adjustments and added new options. For example, people will be allowed to bring in their own liquor for events here at the RancheHouse as of next year. And we've added another caterer to our options for wedding clients. Overall, the Canadian event planning industry is expected to see a 1.6% growth in 2019 and 2.4% growth in 2020. So we're optimistic that we can continue to grow the business. We've introduced the clubhouse to our inventory of rentals, which has proven to be a really suitable alternative for some nonprofits and locals looking for an affordable option to host their events. We're building relationships with local community groups and nonprofits to understand their needs and provide support and create new opportunities. We're working hard to stay current with emerging trends and partnering with IT, communications, facilities teams to leverage internal resources to achieve these goals. That concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. So obviously, Council, this comes from a request made in budget, I believe, where we asked for a presentation from Ms. Bell, formerly Ms. Snyder's department, on a snapshot of the business case and ongoings of the RancheHouse, etc. So thank you for that. I have a couple questions, but I think we'll open it up to Council first. Councillor Federico.
Thank you for the information. I do have a couple questions. A couple surrounding cost, because I think that has always been something that I've heard out in the community, is that it's too expensive for many different event groups and even weddings to come here. So I guess, what are you looking at for the rental cost versus, somebody regularly coming in as well as a nonprofit? Is there a difference in pricing between somebody coming from outside of our town limits to come in? And catering, are people able to access their own caterer if it is not for a wedding? Because I have heard that has deterred people from having events here at the RancheHouse.
Through the chair to Councillor Federico, there are different rates in place and have been for years, and I think there's possibly been a perception that that wasn't the case, but there's been corporate rates and internal rates and community rates. So I've tried to simplify that a little bit. So next year, everyone will be seeing that there's a regular rate and then community rates, which are discounted so that they are accessible to those user groups. And as far as the wedding pricing, through my research, it shows that we're on par for the type of facility that we are. And as far as also the rental space as well, typically speaking, we are also in line with that. But also what we've discovered is that for some of those really small groups, that yes, our pricing has probably been a bit much for them. So again, adding that clubhouse space to our roster has proven very attractive, and often meetings are choosing to go down there because down there it's a do-it-yourself type of setup. You can bring in your own catering, you can get your own liquor license, you can basically do it as you please. Whereas up here, we still do have several of those rules in place. For example, so for the weddings, they have the option to choose from 3 different caterers. And for all other corporate events, we have the 1 caterer. And there's reasons that we have those things in place, and a lot of it has to do with taking care of our space, our professional kitchen and whatnot. When we invite anybody in, the space does suffer quite a bit, and we can't monitor that as easily. So I think that was all of your questions.
Yeah, that kind of sums it up. I guess, are we looking at a drop in rates? I mean,
Yep.
To me, I'd like to see the facility utilized, right? So I mean,
Yep.
if we're holding on to kind of that old adage that, well, it's kind of, meets everybody's needs and it's, in line with everybody else, but if we're not using it to its full potential, then that seems kind of pointless.
The rates have dropped for 2020.
Okay.
Yeah, for
I
weddings
imagine.
and for everything, so
Do we know when we'll have access to see what those rates look
I
like?
can share them anytime.
Perfect. That would be great.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Budget time, for sure.
yeah.
Council sets the rates of budget.
Okay, Councillor Reid?
Thank you for your presentation. Some of the questions have been raised and answered, and I appreciate that. Just in terms of comments, I've had the opportunity of speaking to some people who were having weddings here, and they had no problem with the prices, by the way. They thought they were actually more than comparable. What was interesting, though, and it actually came up again the other night, I had the opportunity of bringing greetings on behalf of the mayor to the Rocky Mountain Symphony. And a number of the patrons that I spoke to, both at the beginning of the concert or the performance and during the break, had never been to this building before.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, it was really a surprise. I thought we would be catering to the local audience, but it wasn't. I guess they have a set of groupies that follow around, believe it or not. But it was interesting that a lot of people thought Cochrane was so far away, and these people were all from Calgary. I was wondering, is there a possibility of somehow hosting an open house or something to attract people who think that Cochrane's that far away and may not recognize that we have that kind of facility? And I guess the real salient question for me is the RancheHouse Events Center profitable?
Through the chair to Councillor Reid. The idea of an open house, I'm not sure if one has ever been hosted here. Again, I'm new to the community as well, so I wouldn't know if we've done an open house, but I certainly am open to the idea. It's always good to try to promote what we do. In regards to profitability, we're working on it. Certainly, it's improving. So it's a complex budget to manage, and so there's a lot of other factors that are included in the budget. So I know from the past, I think it's always run at a bit of a deficit. So I'm working hard to improve that.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Flowers?
Thanks for giving us the update. Regarding the summer camps, are we doing as many now with all the changes in the divisions as we used to do?
Through the chair to Councillor Flowers, we're doing it, so YOLA's program, the programs that YOLA's traditionally done through arts and culture, nothing's changed there. But I think as far as the town is concerned, I'm not sure what other programs were lost in that transition. But YOLA's work has remained the same.
Does that answer your
Maybe
question?
Mr. Murphy knows.
Mr. Murphy?
Through the chair, Councillor Flowers, Christy did hit it on the head. So as far as the culture summer camps, that has not changed. And we did go through quite an elaborate gap analysis through FCSS and the neighborhood program to identify gaps in summer programs. We had meetings with other organizations who do provide summer camps in Cochrane, Boys and Girls Club, Spray Lakes, faith-based groups. And it was actually determined that we didn't really have a lot of gaps, and the ones that we do or did have are currently being addressed through FCSS.
Okay, great, thank you. With summer approaching, I just was curious what was going to happen. Thank you. And the policies that are a problem, is there anything else we need to get changing so that we can increase the rentals and bring more business in?
Through the chair to Councillor Flowers, I think what we've got planned in the near future and the changes for 2020 should make some differences for sure. I think there's a bit of a misconception too that it's all about weddings here. Like, we do have over 400 events that we host here already. So the place is busy. It certainly has room to do more, and we used to have a lot more weddings in particular, but I'm already seeing that part growing. So again, I think with reducing some rates and building marketing materials, there wasn't a lot of that in place already. So when we're doing that, we're able to sell a lot more effectively. But we're also capable of saying yes a lot more than saying no. So we're seeing positive change in regards to that. So again, with our new event sales associate that's just come on, I'm really encouraged and excited to see what's going to come next year.
Great. And do you know how many parking spots we were able to add outside?
I don't know exactly how many. I know we have 155 and there's going to be more.
Oh, more, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what we had, and so there'd be more than that. That would be Mr. Marcy would know better about the actual parking numbers.
Thank you. And just a final comment that the backup beepers were really noisy during the seniors' tea because there was so much work going on. So I'm looking forward to the day we don't have that. Thank you.
Councillor Flowers gets in a blow for the backup alarms. No other questions? I got a couple. First of all, I think as a person who utilizes the ranch house on a daily basis, I've interacted with your staff and yourself numerous occasions, and I have to say I have always received a positive response. We hosted the Mid-Sized Cities function here. The staff went above and beyond. I'm still getting accolades from colleagues around Alberta for the event, not just the event proceedings, but the ranch house itself. I think we as a community take this facility for granted, and so please pass along my thanks to your staff. I do whenever I can. Somebody spills something on the carpet, it's gone overnight. We really treasure this building, and you are really taking care of it. So I thank you for that. I hear from my colleagues around the table, we have a desire to lower rates and make it open to everyone, which is admirable. And I hear from others that we need to drive the business and create profit. And it is very difficult to do both. So I think that your plan actually lays out something that is achievable and trending in the right direction, to use your own words. But as someone who's used a lot of the different functions that the building has, I would say that AV is something that you should be looking at. And I know that you have it in your plan, but I think I agree with that as something that's maybe a limiter. And some of the feedback I've had from people that were using the space in that regard. And the liquor changes too. I think that will have a big impact on people. But just to touch on one of your comments, Councillor Federico, about the caterers, as a person who was on council when we were retrofitting this building from the province, that was the one bugbear, I guess, that we had to inherit, was that commercial kitchen. Not everybody is capable of just walking in there and whipping up mac and cheese. It's an expensive piece of equipment that we, at that time, realized we needed to protect. And that was where the framework of only having 2 or 3 or 4, I think I'm hearing now, caterers come in. And that was all about protecting an asset. So even at that time, we were getting, the community groups were wanting to come in and utilize this space like the old community hall, and it's just not that. So I think what we have going for us in the future is the tri-site plan has identified another space, Fifth Avenue, as a place where we will construct eventually. And I'm looking forward to that implementation plan later in the month, where we will have the opportunity to build that community building that hopefully fulfills the needs of the many versus what we've had to live with here in the constraints of the ranch house. Like, the theater is not the theater for the community, and Councillor Reid, you touched on that. But it is what it is, so let's just make the best of it. And I think that your plan is trending in the right direction, and we are living within the building that we have. So it's not going to be perfect, but so just those comments. So thank you again for the work that you're doing. I think it's showing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other comments? No? You put a motion on the floor? You did? Councillor Flowers? I think you did. Yeah. I'm pretty sure you did. Yeah. Well, you did now. All those in favor of accepting for information. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, moving on. Mayor's report. Are we there already? We are. Yeah? Councillor Reid, you're deputy mayor. I think you should, yes? Oh. Sorry, I missed that. Notice of motions? Motions of notice? Notices of motion?
Notices of motion. So I just wanted to highlight with council that I will be bringing forward a notice of motion at the next council meeting. And I think as council is aware, I've been working on this one for a while. This is in regards to planning for the future for our historic downtown and how we preserve that identity in the face of growth pressures. It's a very transformative time for Cochrane right now, I think, as council certainly knows, with transit coming online, the transit hub in Urban Plaza, CP rail crossing, our land use bylaw, the Western Heritage Guidelines, the Old Town Hall site, and our corridor planning strategies. So there's a lot going on that's going to change the face of our downtown core. And I certainly expect that the economy is going to be turning around. And with all of this investment by our community into our downtown, we're really going to see that Cochrane will continue to be a destination of choice for residents and for businesses. And I think what's really important about that is that while we are encouraging that to happen, that we are preserving the unique identity and culture of historic downtown and First Street in particular. So I've been working with the planning team on a notice of motion for this. A lot of what is going to be looked at that's going to affect this is the current work on the land use bylaw. But what I really want to make sure is that we are putting a lens from council's perspective on how we preserve that unique identity for that part of our community. And so that is kind of where this is coming from. That motion is just going to be mostly asking for a revision of our strategies and to report back to council later on about how we can analyze that and make sure that we have a comprehensive approach to how we can both encourage investment and support our businesses in the historic downtown while maintaining that unique culture and piece that's so important to us. So I'll be bringing that forward at the next meeting.
Okay, I'm sorry I missed that in the agenda.
I'll forgive you this time.
Okay. Any other notices of motion before I skip over that again? No? Okay. Information requests? No? Councillor Reid, would you give the deputy mayor's report, please?
I would be happy to.
We'll come back to the mayor's report.
Okay. In the mayor's stead, I had the opportunity of being deputy mayor and took in the following events. I was at St. Timothy's graduation breakfast where I brought greetings on behalf of the mayor and council and served breakfast to the graduates of St. Timothy. I was at the Alex Baum Community Builder of the Year ceremony or evening with Councillor Federico and Nigel and brought greetings on behalf of the mayor and provided some remarks. It was a very, very rewarding evening for all that were there. And my fellow councillors may wish to add to that. We were at the Big Hill Lodge for a seniors lunch. Councillor Federico and I were there on that. We brought greetings and then had lunch with some of the residents. And that was an interesting lunch as well. I was off to the Elders Abuse Awareness Week. Brought greetings on behalf of the mayor and council, gave a short speech, and was involved in planting a lilac tree, or trying to. I attended the Bow Valley High Awards ceremony and presented an award on behalf of council. Was involved in the seniors' tea with Councillor Nigel and Flowers, and I don't know if anybody else was there. Was anybody else? I don't think so. And brought greetings on behalf of the mayor and council and on that occasion. And I attended the Rocky Mountain Symphony. I brought greetings on behalf of the mayor and council there. I have to say it was a very rewarding and rewarding week. I have a whole new appreciation for and respect for the Mayor Janung's role and commitment to the community. And I'm thankful that I had the opportunity and look forward to being able to be of support to the mayor and council in that role again sometime soon.
Well, thank you, Councillor Reid. I appreciate you attending so many functions. Like you say, it was only a week, but it sounded like longer. But I had some great feedback from a lot of the places that you touched on. You did an awesome job representing Cochrane, so thank you again for that. Job well done. We'll go back to the mayor's report. Only a couple of things. FCM, obviously. I left the morning after our last council meeting. Flew to Quebec City, where a couple of us attended. Councillor Wilson, I think he's still there. He does. I don't know if he realizes it's over. And Councillor Flowers. The theme of the conference was Building Better Lives. Attended a study tour on putting smart mobility to use for citizens. It was an interesting study tour on using technology in the streets of Quebec City to change lights and flow traffic quickly. So it was really, really interesting how they're developing software in Quebec City to really move their traffic through. I heard from, well, we heard from the political keynote from the Prime Minister. Attended a workshop on modernizing public transit, which was interesting. Mayor Lisa Helps from the City of Victoria was one of the speakers giving that workshop, one on the panel. We connected later with her at a function where she asked for my card because she was interested in our on-demand transit. She had heard, I think from you actually, Councillor Flowers, that Cochrane was doing that, and she was very interested to see the outcome of that, and we'll be connecting at a later date. Andrew Scheer, the leader of the Progressive Conservatives, spoke. Did a study tour of the Quebec City libraries. The theme there was community hubs, models of efficiency. It's interesting how they retrofit an old jail into a library. Mayor's reception that evening was connected with a lot of different community leaders, including Mayor Helps again, Mayor Nenshi from the city, multiple mayors from this region were there, and councillors and administrators. In particular, was interesting that the Universe, through 3,500 people, connected me and the head librarian of the Halifax Library, who I was on a tour with at the last FCM, and we just kind of looked at each other and said, oh yeah. So she was there with her husband, who is the deputy mayor of the city of Halifax. So I gave her my card. She is going to hopefully connect with me about how they went through the process of building their library and culture center and all the steps they used for community engagement along the way. So we don't have to recreate the wheel here in Cochrane. Resolution session, there were, I think, 8 resolutions. None of them really in particular affected Cochrane directly, but interesting to partake in those. Jagmeet Singh, the leader of the NDP, spoke that day, went on another study tour of urban forest tour. Quebec has a lot of forests inside the city. It was interesting to see how they're keeping them, recreating within them in a respectful manner, and also dealing with the Dutch elm disease. Trade show, for me, not a huge draw. It was mainly a sales pitch for a lot of things, but we did connect with CP Rail. They had a booth on the trade floor, talked to Mr. Lavecchio. He's the intergovernmental person that we deal with here all the time. Then had an opportunity to go for dinner with him where we talked about mass transit and the crossings in town. So nothing really moved forward other than relationship building and putting that on the table. Elizabeth May spoke, the leader of the Green Party. Then we went into the AGM for the FCM, which was a whole day of meetings. But it wound up with 6 speakers. I thought it was an interesting way to wind up a conference. There was 6 speakers from a variety of stakeholders across the nation that spoke about, each had 7 minutes to talk, and they each picked a topic relevant to building a strong and resilient community. What I found interesting about that was that Cochrane has actually either moved one of those or all of them forward, or is working on one or all of them. So kudos to us. On the way home, Mr. Devana and I and Ms. Lowe stopped in Waterloo, where we connected with Kip Fife from Four Eyes. He gave us a tour of the Velocity Garage, it's called. And it's a tech incubator, and I believe it's the most successful tech incubator, at least it is in Canada, it might be North America, where they have 60 businesses that they are incubating at any one time within that facility. It was very eye-opening on how they've retrofit an old tanning warehouse into something that has revolutionized and really changed the city of Waterloo. They had input from the university, the government in the city, and federal government and provincial to really foster a tech, presence in that community. Obviously, RIM is there from, so I think Cochrane has really an opportunity ahead of us. We're in very similar situation as Waterloo was when they started this 10 years ago. And out of all of the things inside the tech incubator and all of the programming and the way the facility operates was interesting enough. But what I was really struck by was how the downtown core of Waterloo has changed from an industrial wasteland to a vibrant, energized, working, busy place to be. There's obviously those 60 businesses that are moving there. 65% of those businesses are successful when they leave there after 2 years, and they are relocating in Waterloo, and they're building buildings and housing and businesses and jobs, and it has been, it is a different city than it was 10 years ago, and that has only taken that long. So I think we're on the right track with looking at how we can position one in Cochrane for ourselves. So that was a good stop on the way home. Hit the ground running, CMRB, the day after I landed, and Councillor McFadden, you were there, you can maybe touch on that. And interesting enough, talking about tech, I received a request to do an interview with Great Pacific Television. It's a company out of, I think, Vancouver, who are doing a documentary, 1-hour documentary on small communities in BC and Alberta that are positioning themselves in the innovation and tech industry, and what are those communities doing to better themselves in that industry. I think I may have gotten us the premier 1-hour episode all to ourselves. So some of the things that, she's asking questions about, are you working on this? And well, yes, we've been working on that. We've done the Smart Cities Challenge. We're looking into an incubator. We have a transit system that is going to be, tech, and we have Garmin, and we have Four Eyes, and we have MC Things, and we have Enviro. We have all these companies, and out of a community of 30,000 people, we have well over 500 jobs in the tech industry already, and she was quite struck by what Cochrane has to offer. So hopefully landed us the premier 1-hour episode of whatever this thing was, to be continued. So again, Councillor Reid, thank you for providing the opportunity for me to go. That's my report. 2 minutes. Any other reports? Councillor Federico?
The things that I went to, besides the ones that were already mentioned, the Alex Baum tribute was awesome, and it raised a ton of money, so kudos to Dan and his team for scoring some big dollars. I did help with lunch, and it was a very interesting conversation. I think my table was better than yours, but it was good conversation all the way around. I attended the fire hall, and I helped them flip pancakes, and I shouldn't say the fire hall, but municipal enforcement as well. And they did an awesome job, and they were busy, busy, busy. So kudos to them. This was their second year, and I think, honestly, it was top-notch service. nobody had to get up out of their seat, everybody was hand-served, and that was a pretty good deal.
Great.
And I did get to go see, I had the privilege to see Paul sworn in as a Canadian citizen, and it was pretty awesome and emotional. And then I got to speak at his after party, and I also attended the Seniors for Kids Society, where I got to speak as behalf of council, as well as a parent who's utilized the program for grandparents and kids matched in schools. So it was good.
Busy week. Councillor McFadden?
Thank you very much. Yes, a busy time all around, I think. As you mentioned, I did attend the CMRB meeting, sitting in for Councillor Wilson. It was really interesting to me. One of the highlights or key points of the day was a discussion around future water strategy for the region. There's definitely an expectation that climate is changing, and to what level, of course, we're contributing to that. Wasn't really the focus of it. It was more of an acknowledgement the climate is changing, it's changing rapidly, and that we as in the region and the leaders in the region need to prepare for the fact that we're going to have less water in the future, and what that means and what strategies need to be looked at for that. Also the fact that our rainfall is going to be changing. So instead of our monsoon June, we're going to be getting rain earlier in the season as opposed to when we need it in the summer. So it was a really good conversation and kind of an eye-opener of what we need to prepare for in making sure that we can continue to live in this environment and succeed. Also, I attended and spoke to two of our grads in recent weeks, St. Tim's and Rocky View Schools Community Learning. They're both really good. And then finally, the Parks and Recreation Committee met again this month. And they've accomplished a lot of things. We did manage to go through the off-leash parameters for new communities. So that's just wrapping up and should be ready to be shared with council in a little while. We also worked through the Horse Creek Destination Sportsplex maps and drafts, and prepared their recommendation to council for what we think that should look like. That was earlier in the month, and also the committee is wrapping up the sponsorship policy for Parks and Recreation. So a lot of things have been done by that committee in recent months. So looking forward to sharing all of that with you. So a busy time.
And thank you for filling in for those couple of grads that Councillor or Deputy Mayor Reid was not able to do, so that you backfilled. Yeah, thank you for that. Anyone else? Councillor Flowers? What's your take on FCM?
It was a great conference, and I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to go. It was the biggest one I've ever been to, 2,037 delegates, I believe it was. And it was huge. So, but a beautiful city. They did a great job of putting things together, and I met people from all over, but there was lots from Alberta there, and got to do some good networking with other communities. There was an active seniors tea, or week I should say, seniors week. The tea was one of them. But I also went to the Grand Avenue Village and was line dancing. There was lots of fun things going on. But kudos to FCSS and all the different partners that they worked with to put on all the events this year.
All right, thank you. Okay. Okay. You good if I move on to the adjournment part? Yeah? Okay. No? Oh, I'm just so excited to go home and watch the Raptors, I guess. Sorry. I need a motion to go in camera. Councillor Flowers, all those in favor? Carried. We'll move in camera. No decision coming out of this?